Hi, everyone. Hey, Barbara Mossbacker.
Barbara Mossbacker. That's
I'm
right. How are you,
good.
Jeannie?
It's great to see
It's
you.
great to see you. Where are you? Are you somewhere or that's just the back? That's the virtual.
That's my virtual Big Bend road. This is my road
Oh,
out through West Texas.
oh,
Uh,
that's cute.
yeah. And there's another Barbara, Barbara Hashimoto. Hi.
I'm not seeing that.
There's
Her.
another Barbara. And there's Marla Morse. Marla, have we spoken before?
Well, I was trying to go on that Colorado trip and I wasn't able to
Oh,
make it. So
that's right. I was like, gosh, I
yeah.
know you. Well, it was something. It was something. It was an amazing trip. I'll tell you about it. And there's Laura McNutt, who was also thinking about going on the Colorado hike. I just need you to unmute, Laura. I can't hear you. Laura.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about going, but I would just been in Santa Fe in Colorado, so I said, nah, I'm not going back up there. It's so great.
But Laura has already signed up for the Big Bend
Yep.
Marfa trip. So, and I'm very excited because I travel with Laura in Paris in June, and you are a firecracker. You
No,
are
we had fun.
we had so much fun.
Lots more fun to have.
I know, really, in all areas, in like the world capitals, and then out in the middle of nowhere. We can do it anywhere. We can have fun anywhere. So,
So true. Yeah.
well, we're gonna wait a few minutes because I know that there was about 22 people signed up. So
Oh, that's
for
great.
this thing,
Yeah. Wani said she'd be a tiny bit late, but she
that's what
was signed up and coming.
yes, yes. So I wanted to I'll start out a little bit talking about myself, and then I might talk to you guys, have you just say something about yourself and your interest in the area. And then I'll go into more about what we're exactly doing. And I have some pictures and some stories to tell, because you always got to have good stories, right? It's not a good trip if there's not good stories. That's what I say. So my knowledge of this area goes back to actually 1991. I had moved to Texas, and I got an assignment from Travel and Leisure to do a whole story about the Texas-Mexico border. So I drove along the Texas-Mexico border. And I mean, Marfa was not Marfa then. Marfa was, it was just, we got to Marfa, and it was like the motel we stayed in. I described it as having really scratchy towels, like they're real thin and scratchy, like really exfoliating, like they make scratches on your arms. So nothing luxurious about it. But we went around the Big Bend, and then we came up to Marathon and saw the Gage hotel, sorry. And I remember it being just like the oasis in the desert. It was just such a beautiful spot with and there's Wani's here.
Hey,
So so I've loved this area ever since then. What I love most, and we can talk about it, is that contrast between it's so rugged and remote, yet there is so much sophistication here. We're talking, Donald Judd, a big New York artist who chose Marfa for his installation art, and kind of he wanted a place where he could display art as he saw it, as not under the constraints of a small gallery or whatever, just huge space. And there's plenty of space there. But his coming there kind of drew so many artists, and it's become an arts center. But even before that, it was the place where they filmed Giant. So it's got, there's a lot that's happened there. I think they also filmed some of There Will Be Blood, and No Country for Old Men out there. So
Cormac McCarthy's work.
yes, it's definitely Cormac McCarthy country. But it's the kind of place that the reason I started offering is I had so many friends who wanted to who wanted to go there. They're like, oh, I wanted to go, but they don't know how to take a bite out of it. It's kind of hard to figure out where you should go. And I tell people, if you go to Marfa and you go at like not the great time or whatever, you might just sit there and go, what's all the fuss about? Because it can feel pretty empty, or you don't know where to go. And so that's what I like to get you into artist studios and go to some of the cool places to eat. And so that's what I try to make it accessible, because otherwise it can be like, wait, it's just a lot of space and yucca plants. So that's how it can feel. But before I go into like just talking about all the things that we're going to do, I wanted to just have you guys. Wanda Vogt is here, and I'm Wanda, just say hi to people. If you're
Hi, sorry.
Wanda, it works with Next Tribe, and she's we call her the chief of staff because she keeps everything in order. And so she's looking in on all this. And what are you interested in coming, Wanda?
Oh no, I was just interested in seeing what happens at your info.
I was gonna say, you can come. We need to talk about that. But I wanted you to meet Wanda, and then also I'm going to have you meet Marcy. Marcy, can you unmute and just say hi? She's our travel manager, and any of you who've traveled with us just recently might have dealt with Marcy, but you will, and for sure going forward, because she kind of helps make sure that hotel reservations are made and all the T's are crossed as much as we can possibly do. So Marcy, will you say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I've been sort of fascinated and obsessed with Marfa for a long time, and I've
Oh,
never been there. So
we should talk about getting you down there.
I know, like you, Jeannie, I find it so fascinating that it's so remote and so just desolate almost, but there's like so much cool contemporary art there, and
Yeah,
it's really such a cool juxtaposition.
I know.
So,
That's what I think is the greatest thing about it, and so we definitely take in both the rugged and the sophisticated. It's like both together. So
yeah,
good. Well, thanks, Marcy. So Barbara, can you Barbara Mossbacker, you want to just say hi to everyone, tell them where you're from and what's your interest in Marfa Big Bend?
I sure will. So I live in Houston. I'm not from Houston, although I've been here for 40 years or so I might as well be from Houston. And it's funny what you said, Jeannie, because it sort of reminds me of Houston, that in some ways, Houston seems so, I don't know, far away from New York and LA, and so in the middle of nowhere, and the politics are so conservative. However, once you get inside the loop, it's a vibrant, exciting city with people from all over the world, and it just is something so different. Houston is.
Yes.
It's
well, I know that, and you have some great art galleries down there. I know that.
Fabulous art and galleries, and we go to museums a lot. There's great contemporary art, and there's also a great art collection, and there's also a world-class Latin American collection that I love, and architecture. I mean, it's a very cool city once you're inside the loop with good culture. Anyhow, that's Houston. And so I like to go to places in Texas that I think are fabulous. And I've been to Marfa, but it was a long time ago. I love to hike and I love art. So some of both.
That's a perfect combination. Good. And Marla, tell me, we corresponded about the Colorado trip, but I can't remember where you live.
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay, good. So have you ever been to this part of the world, the West Texas part of the world?
I have not. My daughter and her dad were just in Marfa and they loved it. I'm really interested in going. I love a hike in a rugged and remote area. So I've not hiked in Texas ever. So I'm definitely signing up for this trip. You're going to have to help me figure out again how. And doesn't this also have a membership? Like, should I be joining? I guess that's sort of like, a detail, but I'm
Yes,
really excited about this trip, and I'm definitely going.
Oh, we love that. You haven't signed up yet, though. No, had you signed up yet? I can't remember. Not yet. Okay. Yes. So membership always gives you on most trips. There's just one trip that I haven't been able to do it on, but $100 discount, and so the discount varies on like the kind of trip it is and so forth. But we also have started something where we have an online platform where it's kind of like our own Facebook, but we have groups so that everybody who's going on a trip can be on this in a group and can talk, beforehand, like, oh, how are you? What time are you getting in? Or that kind of thing. So that's some of the benefits of membership. Nobody has to be a member to be on our trips. It's just, we think it saves you some money, and more than pays for you save more than the cost of the membership. But and then you get some you can link up with some other people. So so we hope you will become a member. But
I will. Well, thank you.
That's good. And Laura, you have already signed up.
Yep, I've already signed up. I was just in Big Bend in May, and of course stayed at the Gage. I didn't make it over to Marfa. We were in the park hiking for a little bit, but it's just a beautiful country. It's just like a separate world out there. It's just so different. And having lived in Jackson Hole for 10 years, it's a whole different kind of hiking, but it's just beautiful in its own way. And I know I was just reading a review of a book that came out, Dig. You read so much, Jeannie, you've probably seen it. It's by the daughter of the guy who first discovered so many of the fossils and things. And I think she just had a book signing in Marfa. And I thought, I got to read that before we go.
I know this book. I mean,
yeah, but it's a beautiful area, and it's so nice to go back to such a refined hotel for dinner and nice food and ambiance.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's true. It's just it's great. Everyone should go. It's a Wani, you out there in San Francisco, you should come. It's a part of the country you'll never see.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Barbara Hashimoto, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, hi everyone.
Where are you from?
I live in Los Angeles right now. I came here, I recently retired, and I moved back to a house I have here. I was living in the Midwest in Chicago for 15 years before that, and kind of have lived a lot of places all over the world.
Oh, good.
So I was gardening today, and I took a shower, and I checked my emails after I got out of the shower about a half an hour ago. And I was thinking, I really want to do a trip in December somewhere. And I don't know, I saw this email and I said, I want to go to Marfa. I'm a huge Donald Judd fan. I'm also an artist.
Oh, wow.
And I saw his space in New York, I don't know, about 8 years ago. I don't know if anyone's been to that. And I've recently taken up hiking since retiring. So I heard a lot about Big Bend from people too. So sounds like a great trip to me.
Yes, it is. And is that your art in the background we see on a shelf or some?
Oh, that's like a bird's nest.
Oh, wow.
A ball of something.
Oh, okay. I just thought that you maybe some Andy Goldsworthy thing or something. Really nice. Thanks. And Wani's traveled twice with us before, and we love Wani. So if you want to unmute yourself, Wani.
Okay. Okay. The question is, why am I interested?
What's your interest there, and have you? I'm not sure. I don't think you've been there.
No, in fact, I think Barbara and I were planning to go pre-COVID, and then you know what happened. So,
yeah.
So it's a place that I always wanted to go to, and just need a Texan to show me how to get there and how to get around.
Yes, that would be my job, even though I'm not officially a Texan anymore. I'm
Right.
Texas enough. I'm Texas enough. So,
but I love hiking, and I'm an artist, and so it's a perfect combination.
Great. I love it. I love it. Okay. And Dion, am I saying, or El Dion? Can you unmute?
Okay. Hi. Yeah, I'm Laurie. Dion's my last name.
Oh,
And
Laurie. Laurie is
yeah.
your first name? Okay, great. Nice
Yep,
to meet you.
yep.
I'm Jeannie.
Nice to meet you. Hi. Yeah, I recently read your book, The Lavender Queen.
Oh
I
my
live in
God.
Blanco County now. Yeah. So
Blanco?
yeah. So I live in Johnson City, but I was in
Oh my,
Fredericksburg for 8 years before that.
oh
And
my
yeah,
God. Oh,
yeah. So I Googled you when I was reading the book and saw the trip, and yeah, so I'm really excited. I've been out that way once before, but we only drove through Marfa, didn't
Right.
stay anywhere there. So yeah, I'm hoping I can keep up with all these hikers. Sounds like people are
Oh,
really
we can do different hiking speeds. And like last year, I mean, last time, it wasn't last year, last time we did it, there were two people who decided they wanted to just hike closer to the lodge we were staying instead of going up. We went up a path up to not to a peak, but just to a high,
right.
over.
Yeah,
So there's
but
always that.
it sounds like a perfect time of year to go, though.
Yes,
So
it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I love it then because there's actual coolness. What
Yes,
counts as coolness in Texas.
yeah. I'm
And
actually trying to recover from COVID right now because
oh,
we got out of Texas last week. Well, we left on the 10th of August and went to New England, and it was absolutely perfect, the weather, but we got stuck on the plane for 3 hours
oh,
on the tarmac, and I think that's where I picked up
oh no,
COVID.
are you
So,
feeling okay now?
yeah, a
Okay,
little better. So,
good,
um,
good. Well, thanks, Laurie. And I
right.
know there's Mary B and there's Kathy, and you don't have your videos on. Do you want to say hi? I know Kathy. Kathy, are you really considering coming on this trip? Oh,
No,
maybe.
but I just want to hear more about Marfa. I mean, I'd love to come on the trip, but I don't know. It just sounded interesting. I always want to see you, Jeannie. So
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. And Mary B. Oh, there's Mary. Is that you, Mary?
Yeah, that's me. Hi.
Hi.
I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've always wanted to go to Marfa. I'm not an artist. I've never been on a Next Tribe trip. I think I found you on Facebook or something similar. And I'm interested because apart from just being into art, I'm actually in the process of relocating to the Southwest after many, many decades in the Bay Area. And
Oh,
this is
where?
this may fit into that.
Where in the
Um,
Southwest?
Somewhere in New Mexico.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay.
And it's still in process, so I'm playing it close to the vest for the moment because everything's still up in the air, trying to get organized.
Good luck with that. So, and they have Becky Rutland. Becky was on our Paris trip. Hi, Becky.
Hi, Jeannie. How are
And
you?
I'm good. So, are you really considering coming?
Yes, because I'm going to be in Austin most of December anyway.
Perfect. That's perfect. Great. Well, just say hi to everyone. Tell them where you live now.
Hi, everyone. I live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I lived in Austin for 35 years, up to the time I retired from working there. And I've always been curious about Marfa. It seems like it would just be a small town out in the middle of nowhere, but people seem to want to go there.
Yes, it's got some stuff. It's pretty happening. And I want to also say that if you guys notice that a lot of people have asked, how do you get there? It's the biggest problem is how you get there. Some people, if you're in Texas, you're welcome to drive, of course, but I'm also going to I'll have a van that I'm getting from in Austin. So I think somebody has already signed up for the van round trip, which will make it just so much easier to tackle if you have a van, you know how to get to Austin. And so we'll congregate and then we'll take off it's about a 7-hour drive from Austin, which is still considerable, but that's what Texas is. It's always huge distances. The other option last time when we did this, people, two groups flew in to El Paso and rented cars there and drove in, and so that's also an option. And any of these, I can help you with coordinating any of that. But I did want to make it available to you guys to know that I will have a van from Austin, that so you can rest assured, because it's one of the biggest issues. Like, how do you even get there? So yeah, and I don't know if I said, but El Paso is like 4 hours away, 3.5, 4 hours from.
So a question,
Yeah.
can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Yeah.
Jeannie, so if I do like a road trip and drive down from LA to Marfa, is there somewhere I can leave my car?
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
you can leave your car.
But-
That's what a couple people drove. It was a little different setup, but a couple people drove their own car when we went from Marfa around to Big Bend, and but there was also a van. So and some people left their car at the hotel. So it's
Okay, great.
the hotel is so accommodating. It's the Paisano Hotel. It's where James Dean and Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor stayed when they were making Giant. So it just draws on that history. And so I mean, why don't I give you let's do this. I have some pictures. I can just tell you or talk through the itinerary, talk to that, and you can interrupt me and unmute yourself and interrupt me if you want to get in the get a question in. Hold on, I'm going to share the screen so you can see this, and I'm going to share my screen. Don't look at all the mess here, because I'm always a messy one. Okay, it's supposed to be full. You are sharing. I'm supposed to do it full screen, but just give me a minute. Somebody will know how to do that. How do I do it full screen? Anyway, let's not worry about it. Here, just look at this. Oh, I know I can get it bigger. So I'm starting with this picture because Prado Marfa is like it's one of the most identifiable things about Marfa. And some people think it's actually a Prada store, but it's installation art. It's a commentary on our the chains and the corporations who take over every inch of our life, and the commercialization and retail therapy, all of that, because it's set in the middle of the desert. There's nothing around it. I mean, you drive 20 minutes from Marfa to even see this, but it's just a fun commentary on. It's just, if people love to get the picture. I think Beyonce got her picture there made recently. So you're going to think I'm just not very there. Okay, this is our is Marfa itself. So there's Giant. This is our hotel, the Hotel Paisano. It is like just got the old kind of a whole setup, but there's a lot of great stores that have come in to here, so you can get some funky stuff. There's lots of funky stuff you can get in Marfa that artisans who come, or vintage stores from the West and things like that. So it's fun. We definitely have time for you to do any of that shopping around, but we do other things. We rented e-bikes and rode around. Last time we go see the Marfa Ghost Lights. Marfa Ghost Lights it's a, who knows if it's legend or what, but there's a plane out in the mountains, and there's some big lights that can be seen. If you're lucky, you get to see these lights, and people swear that they've seen them. I've been out to the ghost lights like 4 or 5 times. I've never seen these big balls of light, but I know people who've seen it and swear it's a thing. So we'll go test it out. It's fun to do it after dinner when we've had a few drinks, and you just don't ever know what you'll see. Maybe not some lights, but see something. So here's the Chinati Foundation. Here, I'm going to try to get this. The Chinati Foundation is Donald Judd took over a big, huge. Somebody could tell me how to do this full screen. I would be so happy.
Okay, I can tell you how. Go to slideshow.
Yes. Thank
hit,
you.
hit slideshow and then hit from current slide.
Oh, pay from current site. Ah, you're the best. Okay. I can arrange a trip. I can't necessarily do a slideshow. Okay, so this is the Chinati phase. So Donald Judd bought an old I think it was some kind of military base. I think it was a National Guard base of some sort, and it has lots of huge buildings. He's taken over all of them, and now it's a foundation. It's called the Chinati Foundation. Chinati is the name of a mountain range in the area. So we'll do a tour of the Chinati Foundation and just hear about how he got the start and see some of his art. I mean, it's like these big concrete things. They just sit out there in this big field. You drive by there, people are driving by to go get their groceries, whatever, and over in the field is it's just a beautiful pieces and maybe not beautiful, but fascinating. And what I think his intention is to get you to think about the nature of art and the art that is in nature, and how man's work and nature work together. I mean, there's a lot of things that he does. It's not just his work. He's got other artists who were of his generation who have whole buildings that they display their work in. So lots of great art to see there. And I mean, he's just the one who inspired the art community there. And we'll go see and go to an artist studio. One of my favorites is Julie Speed, we went to visit her studio. We had wine and cheese, and we looked at her art, which is just fascinating. This time I want to get another artist too. So we should have two, if we can fit it in, two women artists. I like to do women artists for obvious reasons. But Julie Speed is hilarious, and she wears 3 braids, which I always think that's so funny. She always, as you can tell, she always wears the same hat, these funny hats, but it's just the quirky art world. So we'll spend 2.5 days in Marfa, and that's it. I mean, it's enough to see most everything there, believe it or not. And a lot of people go for a longer time, but it's just like they just spend time contemplating and sitting around, or if because we're on a tour, I don't want it to waste too much time. I want to take advantage of all of our days, but still leaving you time to have your own relaxing time, or to go wandering around the city, or do a hike in the nearby. There are some areas to hike. Most of the hiking, though, the best hiking is in Big Bend. So we'll drive, and this is like the drive itself. We'll spend a day kind of driving south from Marfa, and then we hit what's called the River Road it follows the Rio Grande, and it gains a lot of altitude, and you go into Big Bend. That's how you get into Big Bend National Park. We'll stop at a place called Lajitas for lunch. Very nice place right on the river. Nice restaurant. And then before we get into the park, we'll go to a town called Terlingua, which is a ghost town, but it's not really, because there's lots of people there. And it's kind of a I think I described it. The article I wrote about about this trip in 21 was that it had a Ted Kaczynski vibe. You wouldn't be surprised if you found Ted Kaczynski. There seems to be like people, there's artists there, but they're almost like, and there's people that seem to be hiding from the law. You never know. But there's there's a bar, and since there's a bar here, I don't know if you can see, it's silly, but it's like women's butts, and so of course we had to sit there. So it's a ghost town, and it's also known for its chili cook-off, which we won't be there for that, but you might hear that. Anybody from Texas or thereabouts might have heard of that. So then we go into Big Bend, and when I was writing the story I was mentioning, I wrote for Travel and Leisure about driving the Texas-Mexico border. And the way we come up to Big Bend is the same way I came up the first time when I was writing that story. And I think I described it as like it was like a brass knuckled fist had punched through the desert floor. I mean, the mountains all of a sudden they're just like boom, they're just straight up. You're looking at them, you can't even believe it's just flat, 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 then boom. So you know, this is high desert mountains, and there's javelinas, there's, you know, lots of road runners, tumbleweeds. You know, this is kind of like there's a lot about this that'll be like, this is stereotypical Texas, you know, what Texas feels like in the movies. So this was near Chiso's Mountain Lodge, where this, so we'll stay in 2 nights, stay 2 nights in Marfa, then 2 nights in the middle of Big Bend National Park. And this is, I just should warn you, this hotel in Big Bend National Park, it is not the best hotel in the world. It's just, I'm going to manage your expectations. It's just that it's the best location. You're right there. You can go anywhere from there, and has a restaurant attached and everything. And the interesting thing is that they are going to demolish the lodge, start in the fall of 2024, in October of 2024, and they won't open again until 2026. So it's likely that we will not be doing this trip again for a while, because it makes so much sense to stay in the center of Big Bend National Park instead of staying in Terlingua or right around, because there's so much driving otherwise. So this is just this hike is just a short drive from Chiso's Mountain Lodge. And you know, you can just see the beautiful mesas and buttes and things. It's fabulous. Okay, this is one of my favorite things about this trip is we'll drive to the Rio Grande, and there's a place where you have to bring your passport, and you go through a passport checking, you know, what I would say, a border control, passport control, whatever, and they check that you have your passports and everything, because you're going to need your passport to get back. Then you go down, and for like $5 or something, we'll get you on a boat and cross the Rio Grande. You can see there, it is not very big here. So, but you cross in a rowboat, and then you can get either horses, donkeys, or you can walk to this little town called Boquillas, and we'll go there for lunch. And this picture right down here we went for lunch, and we had, you know, pictures up above the Rio Grande, looking towards the US. It's really easy, and it somehow makes you think, wait, this is so easy, and this river is so small, and there's so much controversy about this river, but people are just crossing back and forth, and it's not a big deal. So
question, Jean, can
Yeah.
I jump in? Just to step back, you mentioned the I'm going to call it a lodge, or you called it a hotel inside Big Bend.
Yeah.
You said it wasn't the greatest.
Well,
I know I can look it up, but I'm just wanted to hear what you have to say. Is it one of those more rustic kind of lodges you might see at a national park?
Yes,
or...
it's a rustic. I mean, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You've got your own room, a bathroom, but it's just basic. It's not super luxurious, but it's where you want to be. You want to be able to go step outside and you see, you know, the most amazing sky, because you are so far from anywhere, and to have, you know, good food and lots of wine, whatever, it's like right there, and you go. So I'm just trying to say it's a reality that it's not the most luxurious, but it's worth it because of where you are, and what you have access to. So but obviously they realize that that's an issue, because they're demolishing the whole thing and starting over. So, but that's why a good reason to go on this trip, because to be honest, I don't know how you figure out how to do this trip without staying in the middle of the park. I mean, you could stay in Terlingua, but then there's just, again, there's so much driving. Let me see. So the other thing is that after we cross the river, we'll go to these hot springs. There's this, I mean, in the 30s, there was this whole health spa right on the Rio Grande, and there's these hot springs. So, you'll bring your bathing suit and we'll get in the hot springs. And, I jumped out of this little, these are kind of ruins of the original hot spring, and just kind of swam across the Rio Grande and stood up on the other side. It's so shallow. It's amazing. Of course, it gets deeper in other areas, but and it's just beautiful to be there. We went. There's a great tradition of women in Texas who are ranchers, who are salt of the earth, who are badasses. They were aging boldly, really. And so this is Hallie Stillwell. We went to her ranch and just at her museum. It's just a small thing, but just to honor the kind of women who toted around a rifle and shot rattlesnakes and lived off the land. It was fun to hear about her. And then one of the big things, and this is so special. I have a friend who actually owns the Gage Hotel. He's JP Bryan, and he has this huge ranch out there just between Big Bend National Park and Marathon, where the Gage is. And he allowed us to come to his ranch and see some petroglyphs. This is the little red, you see the red thing on the corner here. So he has a collection in this area where Native people lived, and there's just drawings all over, and there's cubby holes, and that they built. I mean, they think this was going, for like 1,000 years ago is when this place was populated. And it's so special because not everybody gets to see it. And he just put on the dog for us. He had somebody drive us up there and showed us around and talked to us about the stories about this property. And you just feel so special that you get to witness, get to experience this. And in this picture here, like this top left picture, it's Marianne Moorhead was on, and she kept saying, I can't believe that I'm one of the few people who've gotten to stand here and look out on this perch here, because it's a climb up. You hike up to this area, and I'm one of the few people who've gotten to see this since, ever, because it's just not open to the public. So this is the kind of thing that I think you'll be really remember about a trip like this, is seeing things that you wouldn't otherwise. And here, then after that night, we stay at the Gage Hotel, and it is very nice, very luxurious. And we had a fabulous big dinner with our group last year. This was our last night. We had so much fun, and just it was such a great group too. I mean, it was such a great group, a mix of people from San Francisco, from New York, from DC, from Alabama, from Wisconsin, from Texas, I'm trying to think of all Florida. We just had people from all over. So we really, get good groups on all of our trips. But and this was actually taken. This was goodbye. We took this at my friend's ranch. In addition to getting to see all his petroglyphs, and he showed us we got a tour of his gorgeous ranch. That was it's all adobe, fabulously outfitted. So it's a very special trip, and I think you can see that it can be it's a real good combination. You will get some hiking in, we'll get art in, we'll get good food in, we'll get shopping. So and all of our trips, I think people here who have been on our trips can say that there's always a good community, and it seems to be, we bond quickly. I know Barbara Mossbacher, I remember you said when we were on our trip last year in San Miguel, you're like, how do you do it? How does everybody bond so quickly? And I think it's just that I always say that these groups that come on these trips, you're kind of self-selected. You're kind of obvious. You're already a woman who is saying yes to things like, let's try it, let's do it, let's keep going. So if that's your nature, you're going to meet a whole group of women just like that. And that's why the bonding can be so quick and lasting. I mean, and I think, just for instance, Becky, who was on the Paris trip with Laura, when Becky was in Austin, they got together and had lunch, and they had never met each other before. And there's women who even if you come in solo, I'll set you up with and you want to set up with a roommate, I set you up with a roommate, and we cross our fingers, but we feel pretty good that you get to meet them before. But we've had people become best friends from being roommates, and they end up becoming roommates for other trips as well. So that's kind of like, but we try to have lots of fun. It's really, that's my job, is to make sure you have fun. I mean, it's why else do it if you're not going to have fun, but also show you what this area has to offer. And it is just, to me, it's one of my favorite places in the world. So I just would love to show it to you. But let me answer some questions. If you have questions, just speak up or raise your hand or write in the chat anything. What kind of hesitations are you having about this trip? Any? Nobody's hesitating. Yay! I like to see that.
I was wondering about, like the level of fitness, like how long are the hikes, that kind of thing.
I think the hike we did, at Big Bend was like an hour, so it wasn't a major
Okay.
hike.
Yeah.
But and then to walk up to where the petroglyphs were, it was a little steep, but there were people there to help if you needed but not not overly steep, but it was very doable. I mean, our host, JP Bryan, is like 80 years old, and he was chugging along. So and we had, on that last trip, we had a variety of ages, and one of the women on the trips was, her name's Kathy Black, and she was a big media executive in New York. So, and I was in the media in New York in magazines for years. So when I found out she was coming on the trip, I knew her name, and I was completely terrified, like, I'm so scared. She's, what is she going to be like? But she was such a sweetheart, easygoing, and I mean, she was in her 70s and was doing things and loved the trip. So how many days around Marfa, and how many in Big Bend hiking? So we'll get to Marfa on a Thursday. So we'll have Thursday, Friday afternoon, half the day, Friday, and then part of the day on Saturday morning. And then we drive. So then we have Saturday night at the Chisos. We drive, do our big drive, which is, it's just great scenery, great things to look at and talk about. And then we'll stop for lunch. Then we stop in Terlingua. Then we get to Chisos Mountain Lodge, and we relax. You can go on. There's some small little hikes right off of the Chisos Mountain Lodge down to something called Mule Ears, which is I had a picture of it, but I won't go back. But it's just it's like or maybe that's called the windows. Anyway, I think that's the windows where you're from the lodge. You can just, it's like a nice frame for a view down into the valley. And then we'll have dinner. Then the next day is when we do a hike in the morning nearby. Then we go to the Rio Grande, and we cross the river and either walk or ride to the little town of Boquillas. And I'm talking, this is like a 15-minute ride or less on a horse or a donkey. And then in the water, then we go to the hot springs after that. So it's 2 days or 2.5 days. Oh, sorry, wait a second. like 2 days in Marfa, full days, if you count half a day and then the whole day. And then an afternoon of well, not really that day because you're driving a lot. So one full day and a half day in Big Bend. Then we go to the ranch with the petroglyphs. And then we go to Big Bend, and then the next morning we go back to Marfa, where people pick up their cars and so forth. So it's a total of it's 5 nights and 6 days, but the days on each end are kind of half days. I mean, of activities. It's more getting there and getting home. So it's a good amount of time. I mean, to see the area, but it's a lot of people spend longer, but this was the best I could do to make it, compact, full, but that you got your most for your money of getting out there and paying for 5 nights. We do a lot in that time period. The climate that time of year, layers. It is, it can get a little chilly. You saw me and I had a down jacket on and some of those things, which is perfect for that. And then, I might have had I think some people had wool hats on. So, but once you're when you're up in the mountains or Chisos or in Marfa is much higher than, you'll be high up in Marfa, then you go down to the river level, which is at the Rio Grande, which is pretty low, and then you go back up into the Chisos Mountains in Big Bend. So yeah, layers is key, and anytime you're in the desert, it's like during the day the sun can be pretty brutal, but at night it cools off really quickly. So you will want to have those layers for sure. What else? Any other questions? Is that you, Laurie? You wanted to ask a question? Oh, I'm just trying to get you to unmute.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering about the ride to out of Austin. So what time were we planning on leaving? Do you know that?
That it'll be I haven't got it, but probably around 7 or 8 in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And
good.
We'll coordinate it. And listen, if you're in Blanco, you're in Johnson City, I'll have to go right through Johnson City.
Yeah. So I was thinking that I might just stand by the side of the road and hop in.
Yeah. Just go like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Marfa or butt, Big Bend or butt.
That's right. Okay.
So I want to tell you this, and I'm not. This isn't. It sounds like a big sales pitch, but I brought this trip, the price of it way down, and we've learned of a few things that are new extra expenses. So I do want to raise the trip price after the next week. So if you're going to sign up, please do it this coming week. And I know that sounds like a sales pitch, but I have to tell you, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to stick by the amount, of course, that I published, but for those who come later, it'll be a little bit more. I mean, I'm talking like a couple $100 more, but it's just because I was trying to get all my domestic trips under 2,000. I was determined that they were all going to be under 2,000, but with a couple of extra things that came up, I'm probably going to have to veer from that. But again, you guys, if you sign up in the next week, then it's probably, what's the date? August today? Yeah, it'll be the 3rd. It'll be September 1st is when I'm going to raise it a couple $100. So just so you know.
Oh, Jeannie.
Yeah.
A couple of questions. So food, are there nice options for people who don't eat meat?
Oh yeah, I don't eat meat. So yeah.
Okay. Good.
Are you like vegan? Are you vegan or vegetarian?
Vegetarian.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't eat meat.
So then I'm kind of wondering about the pace of the trip. I mean, will there be some downtime to just sort of take a walk with your camera, Or is
Yes.
it always go, go, go? Or
No, I don't like things that are it's gonna feel, there might be a little feeling of go, go, go once we leave Marfa, because then we're in cars and
right.
and then there's the big day in Big Bend when we're doing the crossing the river and the hot springs and everything like that. That's a pretty big day. But on my trips, I really like to make it so that you have some breathing room, and also that if you opt out, you can opt out of, like, I don't really want to do that, I don't want to see the ghost lights, or I don't want to see, I don't want to go there. It's fine. It's a small group, so I think the most we should be, I think, is 14 of us. I think that's the most I've planned on. So so there's room to just say, okay, today I'm not gonna eat lunch with you guys. You go grab it. I'm gonna just walk around, or go see this gallery or whatever. So and I'll give you we're in Marfa, I'll give you info on shopping in Marfa and on galleries in Marfa, so that you can go. It's, besides seeing a couple of artists in their studios, I don't think you don't need anybody to hold your hand to go to these different galleries. You can pick the ones that speak to you. We'll give you a list of the ones that are going to be open. So yeah, and there's lots of the food there. There's lots of options, because there's probably a lot of vegans that live there now.
Right.
Vegetarian,
Yeah.
they know that's
Yeah.
that's important. So, anyway, well, if there's nothing else,
I have a
oh
question.
yes, Barbara.
So are there some like hikes as a group, or what's the hiking?
Yes, so I think the hike as a group is like the morning. Either it depends. I mean, to be honest, it depends on how fast we get to Chiso's Mountain Lodge it would be on a Saturday. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes it took a little longer last time because we had to make a few more stops. So we got there and it was right before dusk. So we had planned on a little late afternoon hike, but we didn't get there in time. So, but then, or I think actually it was dusk, and some people did walk down sort of towards, on one of the shorter little trails around Chiso's Mountain Lodge. But the next morning we got up, went out around 9 and did a hike, and it was that was one. It was about an hour long hike. It wasn't strenuous, and then the thing that makes Big Bend harder to manage is that there's the big distances. There's long distances even within like the national park. You're still you got to always keep your mind on that. So in the morning we would hike, and then at the Big Bend National Park before we go to the hot springs, and then the next morning before we go to my friend's ranch, we could hike and do another hike. It just depends on what people want. Or you could go, I probably would want to be hiking with you. Maybe nobody go off on their own. I don't think that's a good idea. So anyway, so those are the hiking is in Big Bend. Most of the hiking is in Big Bend, and then there's the hiking on my friend's ranch, and that's really the extent of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Marla?
Yeah, I have a question. So what about the elevation, and will we need to bring poles if it's like not very stable, if the paths or the trail is rocky? Or
if you want to bring poles, definitely bring poles. I mean, I don't
okay.
Nobody brought poles last time. I don't think anybody felt like, oh gosh, I wish I had poles. But if you like to hike that way and you feel more comfortable, it's definitely a great idea to bring them. But and the altitude, so the altitude is not I've got to look at the altitude. It's not hold on a second. In Marfa, I'm looking in Marfa. Oh, it's giving me it's like 4,685 feet. So it's not
Oh.
like,
Mhm.
we're not high altitude, but it's high for Texas for sure. And I don't know what the Chisos Mountain Lodge. I think the Chisos Mountain Lodge might be higher.
But there's no like straight up elevation that we're hiking straight up.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, the Chisos Mountain Lodge is like 5,400. So it's about Denver, a little bit less than Denver.
And
Okay.
have you put out an itinerary that we can access? I may have missed.
Oh yeah, here, I'm gonna put it in. There's a whole, I'm sorry. I thought you might have seen that. It's a whole itinerary with a lot of this information with pictures. It's also a booking, where you can book, and you can make payments over the few months. At this point, payments will need to be done by September 30th. So anyway, but I'm just saying that in general, you can do payment plans, but because we're getting closer, there's fewer options for payment plans. But still, it is a very comprehensive booking platform where you put your deposit down. They'll tell you how much you still owe and all that. So take a look at that, and you can download the brochure with pictures and so forth. And look, Marcy, sweet Marcy just put in her in the chat, travel@nexttribe.com. She can answer questions for you. She's great. She knows all the things that we're doing. So she's the one. She'll get back to you probably faster than I will, because sometimes if I'm off on a trip or something. So but save her address, Marcy's address, and just let me know. Is there anything else right now that I can answer?
Hi, Jeannie.
Yeah.
Does the man with the boat charge any money for taking us across the river?
He does, but it's covered, so don't worry
It
about it.
is? Okay.
The man with the boat.
I mean, I haven't been to Big Bend since 1988, but I think calling Bokeah's town is a stretch of the
It
imagination.
sure is. It sure is. But yeah, it's a few little buildings, and but it's such a nice little.
It has a cantina, as if I remember right.
Actually, I think that now it has 2 cantinas. I think that's
Oh,
what.
great.
But it's charming.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, everybody, please write to Marcy if you have any questions. And I did make a recording of this video, so I will send you a link to this video. And if there's anybody who missed it or this talk, I will be they can view it over again. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I hope I get to meet you. If I haven't met you before, I hope I get to meet you in December. If I've met you before, I hope I see you again in December.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
all.